real quick, I just want to tell you all a story. So when things do go bad, you can prepare yourself for what's going to come at you because we don't have a clue. We're thinking like military or, in terms of things that we know what they are expect, or we're expecting like some kind of demonic presence to come. And there's things that we, men and women, have, our militaries, that are going to blow your mind anyway. So I believe it was 2016. It was the year, and the month was around 4th of July. It was that 4th of July weekend, to be exact, in Idaho, that they had passed an open carry law. I was married at the time. We had 3 kids, and we had gone to Silverwood, hung out for the day. And when we left, we were going to camp, but we hadn't planned it out, and which was dumb. All the camping, or first of all the hotels were booked up. Then we couldn't find a camping space. And one of the places that we'd pulled into to see if we could camp there for the night gave us this piece of paper, this yellow piece of paper that basically was a map to go into the federal forest, the Pend Orial Federal Forest. So we followed the map down in there. We drove into the southern western side of the Pend Orial for, I don't know how to say it. It's a weird word. But we drove into that national forest there below Pend Orial Lake or whatever, which is like some kind of Navy Area 51 if you don't know, right? But we drive in there and we're probably 2 miles in or something along that. And we're looking for camping spots and we keep stopping, getting out and checking out these spots. But I'm the driver at the time, and I'm not comfortable. There's just something not sitting right in my stomach about any of these spots. I can't put my finger on it. We camped a lot, but I just wasn't, for some reason I was like, no, this doesn't feel right. So I was like, let's see if we can, we'll keep looking, basically. And as we were looking, up on one of these trees, there was this sign that said lodge. So we were like, and it had this an arrow and this far ahead. And I was like, oh well, if there's a lodge out here, I don't care. I'll spend 500. Let's go. We'll go put the girls in the lodge for a night. All 3 of the kids were girls, right? Young. So we start following these lodge signs. At one point, this thing takes us. We're like in this wooded road, with woods on both sides of us, and all of a sudden it opens up, and we're on like the top of a mountain ridge line. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It blew my mind. I should have stopped and paid more attention. I should have been recording. But the road got so narrow between like where we'd come out of going into the next spot that it didn't look like we could pass it. And I did. I did get out of my truck and just look at the road to make sure that I had enough room on both sides. Because there was like a sheer drop on each side. It was scary. My wife at the time thought we should turn around. I was like, no, I think we could make it. And as soon as we went through there, and I'm telling you, like when we were sitting there, it was like I was on top of the mountain line for Idaho, looking straight up the panhandle, and all I could see was mountains. Like there was no lakes, there was none of it. Didn't look right, right? So I pull forward, I go through, and all of a sudden we're back in a wooded situation, and we never see that height again. We're never in a situation like that again. We're not on a ridge line. We're just in the woods, all of a sudden again. And we end up finding this lodge, but this lodge isn't. It wasn't like a lodge you're just gonna go camping at. This was like a bunch of off-grid people had built this community up there, and it was wild. And when we pulled in there, they were all there was guns going off. They were celebrating this open carry law that had gone on. It's a big deal for them, you know what I mean? And they were going crazy about it. So we ended up leaving there, and the way we came in, there was only one road in. There were no turnoffs. It didn't wide. It was just one road. And as we're going back down that road in the opposite direction, we never come to that ridge line again. That never happens. Instead, the road kind of trails off to the right. And I remember telling my wife, like, this doesn't seem like the direction we came in. I'm confused by this. But as we're going around this right, it kind of bends back to the left and it opens up on our left, and there's a rest stop. There's just a rest stop, and it's got like a little snake drive that drops down to the parking lot. So let's take a bathroom break, right? So we drive down there to the parking lot, and the parking lot was like, it was an empty picture, like you pull down, and it's a rectangle parking lot. On your right, there's a yurt like bathroom, And the parking lot ends with the, the lines for where you park, and just in front of there was a little metal like fence, but it wasn't a fence, just kind of like a pole, right? Like there's poles coming and one bar going across that was level, that was like the length of the parking lot. And out in front of that, the land went out, I don't know, maybe like 15 feet, and then it dropped down what looked like, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet, and then it just went out into nothing. And it was just, flat nothing land. And my wife was saying it looks funny, but I wasn't really paying attention, so she took the kid, the oldest daughter, to the bathroom, to the yurt, because she had to go to the bathroom. And off to the left there was a little trail I could see, like a little cemented trail. So we had a Chiweenie. I grabbed the Chiweenie. I'm like, I'll take him over here and see if he has to go to the bathroom. So I start walking down that trail, and it's not a long trail. Like there's just a lot of bushes, so you can't see where it was going. And there was a structure that I didn't notice from the parking lot that I was going to walk up to. But as I go into this trail, it wraps around to my right, and it kind of straightens out. And all of a sudden, there's like a pier looking, covered, almost dock looking thing, right? It's some kind of covered structure. And at about waist height, all the way around this structure, there's boards that are kind of like have the history of what's going on there. And so I just kind of nonchalantly walk to the end, and I'm looking at the boards, and I look up. And when I look up, as I'm looking out to my left and my right, it looks like mountain range again. Like I'm looking at like hills and trees, and I'm thinking like, you know, 15 feet over there, it didn't look like this. It looked like it was flat and there was nothing out there. So I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And I turn to my left because the explanation, like the display board, looked like it started back at the beginning on my left. So I walk back there. Now let's step back 1 second. When I walked into this path, there was a wall. So as I came around and straightened out, there was all trees right here, so I couldn't even see the parking lot, right? So this is all cut off from me. But as I'm going around to the right, there's a little landscape right here at the beginning of it, and then it turns into that structure. But where that landscape is, there's a little rock wall that kind of connects to this structure at waist height. So it's blocked off right there, right? That's important. So I'm in the structure, I'm noticing something's wrong. I turn to my left and I walk back to the beginning of the structure, and I'm looking down at this board to try and start reading like what any explanation for what I'm looking at, because I'm confused, right? And as I'm doing that, looking down in my peripheral off of my left, I see a man in like it looks like a gray, almost rain suit, fully covered, walking over, and it startled me.